Welcome back. As a second example for this data link layer protocol, let us have a discussion on the data link layer used in the internet. So before moving into the protocol details, let us have a quick tour on the architecture of internet first. As you know, this internet is actually originated from the ARPANET, right? ARPANET, we had a discussion on that earlier. It was a network developed by this US Defense Department, and it was a small network used for military purpose and academics alone. And later, with the introduction of this TCP/IP reference model, new networks were able to integrate with this existing ARPANET, and which created in a very vast collection of different networks, interconnection of different networks. So it was named as Internet. You can see a small I here. Internet is actually a common noun, right? Interconnection of different networks. And later it was commercially named as Internet, where I you can see it's a capital I. It's a proper noun, Internet. And earlier this Internet was used only for academic, government and industrial researchers. And later with the introduction of this WWW, World Wide Web, this Internet became more popular, right? Even brought millions of new non-academic users became a part of this Internet. And this growth is again cherished by different companies called ISPs, Internet Service Providers. What they did is they provided facility for the individual users at home to connect their machines to the Internet. And this completely changed the character of network, right? From simply a military or academic ground to a public utility. Now let us see the architecture of Internet. So let us start from a user at home. He or she wants to connect his computer to the Internet. So different methods are there for connecting a home system to the Internet, right? Let us take the earlier method, that is dial-up connection over the telephone line. Okay, so we have a computer here. A modem will be there to connect this computer to the telephone lines. Okay, so the client calls the ISP over a dial-up telephone line. The digital signals produced by this computer will be converted into analog signal to transfer over this telephone line with the help of this modem, right? And this analog signal will be travel along this telephone lines to reach this POP. POP is point of presence. So at that point of presence, this analog signals are removed from the telephone system and are injected into the regional ISP. So the regional ISP, you can see here, it's a set of interconnected routers in the various cities that particular ISP serves. Okay, so if the packet received from this POP is destined for a host directly connected to this regional ISP, then that packet will be delivered directly to the corresponding host. Okay, otherwise it should be handed over to this backbone network. Okay, and this backbone network is actually very large international network with thousands of routers which are connected by high bandwidth fiber optics cables. Okay, and different backbones may be there, each individually owned by different companies like AT&T, Sprint, etc. And you can see that our system, our home machine is actually connected to this backbone with the help of a regional ISP, right? Whereas you can see here a server farm which is directly connected to this backbone. And the server farms are actually high-end machines which can serve thousands of web pages per second, and they are directly connected to this backbone. Okay, and usually this server farm will be provided some renting space, okay, some equipment rack in the same room as that of this router. So this will give them very fast and short connections. Okay, and these are called actually carrier hotels. Okay, space provided for this server farm, carrier hotels. And there are different backbones in this internet, right? You can see two different backbones here, and a packet from a user may have to travel along different backbones to reach its final destination. So how these two different backbones are interconnected? Yeah, with the help of a NAP, that is network access point. So this network access point is actually set of routers. Most probably LAN configuration will be there. with at least one router for each backbone. You can see here every backbone is connected to this network access point with the router. Okay, and this network access point forward a packet from one backbone to the proper next backbone. Okay, and this is how different backbones are interconnected, and sometimes these two different backbones may be directly connected without the help of this NAP. Okay, and such connections are called private peering. Okay, so this is the overall architecture of internet. Now what are the different ways in which we can access internet to our home? Okay, let us start from the first or earliest method, that is using dial-up modem. So using the telephone lines in our home, we can access the internet with the help of a modem, right? So our computer is connected to this telephone line with the help of a modem, and the digital signal from the computer will be converted into analog signals and will be communicated over this telephone lines, and it will be received at the telephone switching office, where it is again converted into digital signal with another modem and will be handed over to the internet. So inside the internet network, everything will be digital. Circuit switching method will be used. So this is how this dial-up modem were working, and the issue here is that the same channel is used by both the voice of the telephone and the data, right? Data of the computer. So at a time only one will work. So we cannot use a phone while we are transferring data or while we are accessing the internet. And the second method, with the help of digital subscriber line or DSL. Okay. So here also we can use this telephone lines to access the internet, but we need a special modem, that is called DSL modem, right? And specialty here is that we can access both telephone and internet at the same time. How? Actually this channel is divided into two different parts. Low frequency will be used for voice traffic, and high frequency part will be used for the internet or data transfer. Okay, and we can see the architecture here. We have a DSL modem to connect our home system to the telephone lines, and we have a splitter here. What the function of this splitter is to divide this entire channel frequency into two parts, and the low part will be handed over to the telephone lines, and that is voice, and the high part will be for the data traffic. So there won't be any interference between these two, and that both can be transferred simultaneously. And at the switching office, telephone switching network, we have a special device called digital subscriber line access multiplexer. So from different users, different subscribers, different DSL lines will be connected to this multiplexer, and the purpose of this multiplexer is to remove the channel and data, okay, from different DSL lines and multiplex all those. Okay, all the data will be multiplexed along this way, and all the voice will be multiplexed along this way to the corresponding telephone network. So this is the purpose of DSLM. So we were able to use data and phone simultaneously without interruption, right? And two different types of DSL lines were available. One was asymmetric DSL and the second one was symmetric DSL. So in case of asymmetric DSL, upstream and downstream speeds were different. Downstream was a very high speed, whereas upstream speed were limited. So in usual home and resident users can use this type of communication line, because we are using the net for browsing, right? We are downloading or accessing a lot of data from the net, and uploading will be limited, right? We need to upload a very small amount of data. So in such case we can use the asymmetric DSL. Whereas in the second case, that is symmetric DSL, both upstream and downstream speed will be same. So for business purposes like video conferencing, like such applications or such use, we can use the symmetric DSLs. And the next method is through cable modems. So through cable TV wires we are able to access internet. So another type of modem is required here, that is called cable modem. both TV and data can be accessed simultaneously, right? So we have a cable adapter, and our computer is connected to this cable using a cable modem. So one will be connected to the TV set-top box and the second will be connected to this cable modem after splitting the corresponding channel. And lot of other methods are also there, like wireless services, just for example satellite service. So for in those areas where remote, where cabling is not possible, we can use the satellites and all. So we need a VSAT at the client, small dish, right, very small aperture terminal, which will be connected to the satellite. The problem here is that because a signal have to travel long, the speed will be limited, and also lot of interference from the atmosphere also will be there. And another method is wireless LANs. We can have a wireless access point from which using radio signals and all we can have the internet communication. And using cellular networks also, 4G, 3G are available, right? 5G is on the way. So different cellular networks are also available to access the internet.